Well, I'm here with Amy. It is, I know you don't care, but I did. It's a beautiful day in September. Yeah, Addie was whining after baseball. She said, I don't want to go home. I said, do you know how many days like this you're going to have for the rest of the year? Very few. I said, so we're going to go sit outside at the breakfast place, the place that you love. We're going to sit outside at the breakfast place and just relax. Just have breakfast and relax. Because this is one of the few days it's actually warm. Very warm day today in Ohio. I hope it's every bit as warm wherever you are. 75 degrees, which is 43, 20, like 21, 22. It's a hot September day. And it's been a good week. The sale is usually super stressful. Now, Lexington is just crushingly taxing and stressful. But Ohio is that first start to the season. And, what we had talked about, I don't know how much you were paying attention, but what we talked about on the way to the sale is exactly what happened, right? Ready for Money, and especially In Range, destroyed the whole sale. They took the lion's share of the market for trotters, and as I quietly alluded to yesterday, might have actually taken some money from the sale overall. What I mean by that is there were people that were looking for maybe even Pacers or something else and ended up dragging something. There was just an incredible amount of money there. I think I don't think there was one. I'd said this to Amy. I priced the horses, and I'm usually pretty good at it. Priced the horses for what I thought they were worth going into the sale, and I don't think one In Range was even close to what I put. Right, Ready for Monies were a little bit higher. I think we bid on a number of them, didn't get, and that's not me knocking them. I wish we had have got them, just not at that price. And you look at Periwinkle as a perfect example, right? I was at any point in the sale, was I anything but absolutely confident we were going to get her? It was a foregone conclusion. She was ours. We were going to get her. It wasn't going to be a problem. And if we had to pay a little bit more money for her, then she would simply just become a standalone, where I would buy her for the stable and everybody could buy the shares of her. That's what I thought would happen with respect to Periwinkle. Instead, I think we were out at 82, which may as well have been out at 2. She went for 115. So, but that was indicative of all the In Ranges all day. Like, it's like I marked the number, and as they will buy the number, I'm like, maybe I was wrong. And they just kept going and going and going. And it just seemed like a lot of money. And make no mistake, In Range and Ready for Money had a great year. Our 2 In Range fillies are beautiful fillies. They had a great year.
We don't have any In Range.
No, we have a Ready for Money. I'm sorry. Did I say In Range? Oh, Ready for Monies. Our 2 Ready for Money fillies are very good. But at the same time, the money they're paying for some of these horses is like, as I said yesterday in the video, it's almost like this is Down by the Seaside money, where Down by the Seaside was transcending Ohio. Down by the Seaside was racing on the Grand Circuit. Down by the Seaside was a dominant sire. There was nowhere and no one even close to him in Ohio. Almost like if you don't have it Down by the Seaside, you can't race. Right? That's how it felt the first 2 years he was in Ohio. That's not the same feeling you have with these 2 sires. They're very, very good, and they're going to make great additions to Ohio. But to pay standout money, standalone sire money, I just didn't feel that it made much sense to me. And quite frankly, I don't even think we were even close on any of the In Ranges and Ready for Monies we've been on. And listen, maybe that will be the case next year. Maybe we'll revisit this video next year, halfway through stake season, and say, yeah, they really were layover studs. I haven't seen it yet. And the other thing was, I had told everybody, I thought that Uncle Peter would take a beating, but Uncle Peter actually held strong again, is a middle of the road sire, right? They went, that horse I was bidding on at the end of the sale, I walked away at like 16. He went for 36 or 37,000, I think. Nice horse, but that's good money. The horse that got destroyed, What the Hill, got mauled at the sale. We ended up with 2 of them. I was very, very happy. The horse that we had bought for $8,000, I knew I had marked at 30. But I think when you took the discount off obviously for What the Hill for the sale, which you just have to, in the middle of the sale, you can look and see, I like to call them the storylines, you can look and see them taking place and unfolding right in front of your eyes. And What the Hill got obliterated. The horse that I figured we'd do the most business with before the sale, I told everybody was, you know it,
Volstead.
And Volstead he doesn't deserve any disrespect. The horse just doesn't. And they were closer to fair market, I think. They were lower than what I thought we'd have to pay for them, but they were pretty close to fair market. And again, as I say that, you might be sitting home saying, well, what does it matter what you think? You may not know what you're talking about. Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't. But well, it's true. But when it comes to Volstead, I was very happy to do business. I know you were a little leery because we only had a couple of Volsteads and they didn't turn out. But in fairness, they just weren't good horses, right? It wasn't that we bought some and they just got to a ceiling. They just weren't good enough. These were bad horses, and had been training. You were hoping they would come around, but they just didn't, right? It turned out that they were just bad horses. Whereas Volstead himself wasn't known to be throwing a lot of bad horses. And the horses we ended up with, an interesting wrinkle this year was the AI. Did you look at any of the AI reports?
No.
No, you didn't. David did an incredible job, very in-depth with the reports, and his top pick for the sale was Sweet and Steady, the Volstead filly that we bought. 54 was the AI top pick of the sale. 77, I know the number, I can't recall what that was, but we opted not to buy 77. That was the Uncle Peter, full brother to Action Uncle. Yes, I did like that horse. I thought he towed it a little bit, but that could be wrong. That horse there was a horse we passed on, but I did not want to pass on 54, and that was our first purchase of the sale. We ended on going on to buy a roan horse that was a brother to I'm Fancy Like. We bought a couple other Volsteads that look good. I don't want to bore you because I made 2 videos of this already. The Down by the Seasides have already sold out. Both the filly, Belladale. I apologize if you're out there and you're like, I can't wait till I put the shares up for Belladale. And for Down by the Cowboy, they sold out immediately, which I figured they would. I mean, I priced Belladale over twice what we paid for. And Down by the Cowboy, he was another horse, especially after we didn't get Periwinkle. I thought for sure he would be our standalone horse. That would cost 60, 70, 80,000, and I probably would have bought him and let him stand alone. I liked him that much, and for us to get him for what we got him for, it's not shocking. We got our Monty Mickey. They were very affordable, but I think we both agreed on why they were affordable. The videos just didn't look great, but in person the horses looked amazing. And then of course, like I said, we got the What the Hills. 1, 2. We got 3 What the Hills, by the way. Sorry, I thought we had 2. 3 What the Hills. 3 Volsteads, a Summa Cum Laude, and 2, a Monty Mickey, and 2 Down by the Seasides. Pretty good mix. So the sale itself, we come in under budget for all the buckets, and the reason being the What the Hills at the end of the sale and the Volstead just come in super light, which I was happy with. I know there's a lot of people, I had a lot of people message me saying, Anthony, that horse you bought for 8, you talked about him in your video like he was a nice horse, but how would a nice horse like him possibly go for 8? Well, you saw the colt. You saw his video and you saw the colt. Am I wrong? No, he was a good-looking colt. His video was good. His family is good. But he just, and this is the most important thing. We can look, you and I know, you can look at all the pedigrees. You can look at all the videos you want. The horse still has to look good. Mm-hmm. If you go to the sale and the horse looks like crap, well, I don't care what your video looked like. I don't like you, right?
It's just a starting point.
Well, and that's 100% correct. It's the starting point to the formula you're going to put together to pick your horse. But the most important part of that, the blueberries in the blueberry muffin, is the horse itself. I need to know how the horse looks. And there were some horses that were a little disappointing, quite frankly, as you can imagine. But there were some horses that really stuck out. And I just thought that number 230 was a beautiful horse. I didn't have it in my head that we were going to buy him. I think I had him priced at 30, but at that point we were looking for something a little more affordable. If that was the horse we were going off his pedigree and his video, and I did like the horse, but there still has to be a value put there, I would have loved to get him for 15 or 16. And instead we got him for half that. So it was an easy purchase in that regard. So that's how we approached our sales. We had a number of people asking about what the buckets actually were before the sales. And the buckets are simple. It gives me a barometer and a gauge of who wants to do business with the stable heading into the sales. Now you can only imagine how bad it would be if I went into the Ohio sale. Right? I had no idea what the clients wanted. We went out. I signed those tickets for $204,000, and all we had was crickets. Does that be funny to you?
That's what we used to do.
Well, no, but we always had clients that would always stand behind us. But that is nerve-wracking. That is very, very stressful for me to pick up the phone and say, hey, Paul, hey, John, hey, Tina, hey, Diane, hey, got this colt, and do that hundreds of times because there's, 10 horses, is 1,000 shares, to do that hundreds of times to fill up that order. And then just if you are happy enough and lucky enough to get that done, just head right down to Lexington and do it all again. It's just incredibly stressful. So I need to make sure that we have interest going into the sale. We'll talk more about the Lexington buckets over the next week, but really, really happy with the response from our clients. The buckets purchased, then people calling in saying, so just so we're clear, I have 2 shares of the main bucket, but I can buy shares in the other horses, right? Absolutely. And a lot of those people scooped up a lot of the shares. And what I found the most interesting is not only when I looked over these horses, not only are they quality horses on paper, but they're the types of horses that you guys are looking for also. And I got to get away from I can't say historically speaking anymore. Last year, all the videos I made talking about historically speaking in reference to the horses the year before and the year before and the year before that, how they raced and how they were, it ruined the whole thing. I can't even use historically speaking anymore. So I said, historically speaking, our horses are training down good. It should be sire stake horses in Ohio. Or they're not because they go much faster this year. Mm-hmm. So it's ruined the whole saying for me. So in the past, you guys have been very interested in these types of horses as I have. We're all kind of in lockstep, right? I'll get the odd person saying, Anthony, what about this pacing filly, New York bred in Lexington? I'll get an email like that. And I think I need to address that too, just briefly. In this video, I will have people that, especially now that the Goshen sale is on Monday, I'll have people saying to me, Anthony, how come you never buy enough horses in New York and New Jersey? So I'm going to make it clear for everybody. Perfect Thought is a New Jersey bred, right? Bomb Hugger was a New York bred. Cruising in Style was our first good New York bred. Who else do we have? We had good horses in New York. Memento Mori didn't get a chance to race in New York last year and wasn't as effective this year, but was a quality New York bred. I'll buy them. The problem is it's the licensing, right? And this is what our industry has some faults. It's not up to me to point them out. I will as much as I can, and I have in the past. If you follow me as a person, both in social media and the writing I used to do for Standardbred Canada and the blogs and the videos I've made and the interviews I've had, licensing is the biggest hurdle this industry has. The biggest one, right? The fingerprints, you got to fill out all these forms and send them back in, and then you have to do this fingerprints have to be done in this special form and sent back in. Your fingerprints are the same everywhere you are. And further to that, if I have a passport, don't worry about the height and security and the nexus and everything else. If I have a passport, I should be able to buy a horse, right? And that's really what it boils down to. It's much like, and they said, well, we have to make sure that we don't have people in the game that aren't supposed to be in the game. All right, it's much like the border, right? When you go to the border, how many times have we ever been searched? 3 times? We've been searched, but like 3 times. You can search people broadly and then obviously be more specific if you want. There is no need for this heightened cost in every. And here's the thing: there's no fingerprints in Ontario anymore, right? They don't fingerprint anymore because it's not necessary. And that's the reality of it, is that each state from a governmental point of view relies on that pot of money. There's more than enough ways to get that money. You don't have to get it on the front end so that you deter people from coming in, and that's exactly what happens in New Jersey and New York. So for my clients out there on the East Coast, it's not that I have a problem. We will buy New York and New Jersey breds. I can't buy an abundance of them because a lot of our clients refuse to get licensed in New York and New Jersey. That's the reality of the situation. And if anybody with any clout out there is watching this, we've been doing this a decade. There isn't a jurisdiction we buy less horses in, maybe Illinois and Michigan, but there isn't a major jurisdiction we buy less horses in than New York and New Jersey. And that is, very important you listen to this, the only reason, just so we're clear. So, moving on, past the sales, past the government jurisdiction stuff. Let's just talk briefly about the week. I know Amy wants to get to watching football, and I do too. So I wrote down a lot of this. We did have a good week at the track. The sale was fantastic, in my humble opinion. The week we had at the track was great. I know Rico Tubbs floundered a bit in the final. We did get his blood taken again. His white count was high. He was sick, and his GGT was high. We're working on both of those, and he will be racing Wednesday, I believe. Thursday? Wednesday or Thursday, and Delaware is when Rico Tubbs is going to race. Degas raced good. Where do we go with Degas between now and Corbin? I don't know. I think I said to Eric, just give her a week off,
Yeah, turn her out.
and then you can't really turn her out though. You're turning a horse out at this time of year, just turn them out.
For a week.
Yeah, it's not like a racehorse, so she's not going to bounce right away. I would just give her a week off, and then train her up, have her ready for the next week for Nome when there's a 2 race in Kentucky, an overnight race, likely Grand Circuit week. Then you would have 1 more week off, and that would lead into Corbin. That's what I would do anyway, because she's coming off a win. She's sharp as a tack. Great. Well, I'm not going to talk about all the horse races this week. Jolene Hall was a winner and looked very, very good in winning also. She is picked to win, I think, or picked for second, one or the other, in Delaware this week. A win, I don't know what it would secure otherwise. I don't know what it would secure. Definitely the consolation, if not the final. Judy's money's already made the final. So she was very good. Supermind prepped very, very good at Scioto. You want to know how fast Scioto Downs is? Well, look no further than last night. There was multiple 147 runs. A mile and 46 and 4 last night at Scioto. 47s, 48s. It's just a fast track. But Supermind raced good. I don't care about the time. I really don't care what he trotted in or what he did to go in and out in the last turn and then blast past him in the try to chase down the leader and finish second. Horse raced great. Allure I thought was good. We found some issues with Allure after her first start that should be able to really, really help her in her second start. So that's my fair warning to you, is she will be better in her next start. Delicious Stone DK raced great in Flamborough again. Just been such a breath of fresh air. 12 wins this year, that horse is. 12 wins this year. I never would have thought that. When we sent him to Ontario, it's like, man, I hope we'd find somewhere we race this horse. And then he just comes to life for the whole summer. Neptune was great. You and I watched Neptune on the way back from the sale. 52-1, 52-3, something like that. He looked really, really good. Yo Mister was a winner also. Carson, a lot of people asking who's Carson Conrad. First time I met the gentleman was in Oak Grove. Really nice kid. I'm glad. Listen, I'm happy to see any of those young men win with their horses when they can. From a logistical standpoint, I just asked Stacy, just don't cause me any headaches, please. Don't put somebody on the horse that's going to drive him bad, and then I'm going to have to receive emails all night. You use your best judgment. She did. She listed Carson, and he drove the horse perfect. So congratulations to both of them and the horse. Looks like money was great that night. We made it all the way there. Amy didn't even get out of the car, just watched the Blue Jays and sat in her seat. Didn't even get out of the car, but that's fine. He raced great. Raging Hanover did make a break the other night. He's actually going to be in Delaware this afternoon. Joe Morris had a horse going to Delaware, shipped the horse to Delaware. Lauren is going to pick up Dune, who's also done racing now. Dune is going to the field. Raging Hanover is going to Northfield Park. I'm going to tinker with his shoes, see if we can get him squared away, and then he's likely going to Ontario. You may see him race once at the Meadows, but again, Raging Hanover is going to Ontario. Who are the babies that are going over? Well, Melisandre is going over to Ontario just to do a little racing, trying to get some good lines on her. Love Sensation is going to be coming out of Kentucky. She's going to Ontario also to start training back. Royal Flush Deo, ACDC, those 5 are going to Ontario, and Raging Hanover will also be going to Ontario. We got them squared away. This is the time of year where the barn is starting to fill up quick, and we're going to wake up after Harrisburg, and we're going to have no stalls. So we're going to start moving some horses over to start training back in Ontario. And the other reason is I'm going to move Greatest Ending and JK Victory back south. We're going to try and get some good lines on them and likely move those horses. I don't want that to be a surprise for anybody. I think I've beaten this drum enough. We're not going to be participating in that ladder racing. I know we had a couple people message me and try to make great cases for it. You can buy the horses and race them however you like. This stable is not going to be racing horses in that manner. I have zero interest. I don't mind when it looks like money drops down and makes his way back up, as long as he can get there. If he can't get there, and he's just racing in the middle conditions, even if they can do in a higher condition. But if you were just a middle-of-the-road horse that's making money in the bottom level and the middle, and then getting your head beat in up higher, and then making your way back down, those horses are not going to be racing in the stable. Be forewarned, just so you know. So that's some movement going on this week in the ranks at the stable. Woodmere Bullet was a winner, second win of his lifetime the other night in 58. Woodmere Betcha got cleaned out leaving the gate. Somebody took a hard left and didn't put their blinker on, and there was some interference there, so she got set up, interfered with, made a break, and then placed up. Rock Shining Star raced good again, finished second in 51. The horse raced good again. I feel he's dogging it a bit on the end of it. At least 2 of his last 3 races, I felt he could have run down the winner and didn't, but he's still pacing 51 and raced good. Arrowhead Hanover was great. As I said to Greg yesterday, I did everything I could to win that race. It all worked out the way I needed it to, and I still got beat a nose at the wire. And it was just, I didn't want Ronnie loose on the front with Cheers Hanover. I just didn't think we could out sprint him. I didn't mind him sitting behind him if we got everything our own way. And Arrowhead's not known for his sprinting per se, but at the same time, he raced his butt off. Here's a horse with a GGT of 88 2 weeks ago. It is absolutely, mathematically, scientifically impossible that GGT is anywhere near normal still. It's still well high for him. And for him to race like that just shows his determination. Horse raced great. Time is on my side. Nobody emailed me, but I just wanted to reiterate, it was just a training mile. I looked left leaving the gate. All that was waiting for me up front was torture and abuse, and that was it. I took him back. I could have been 3rd over and probably snagged a 5th. I really didn't think Mantador could come first over into those horses and be 2nd, and he was. So I didn't follow the flow. I stayed left and run him through the middle. But it was a suicide mission if I had driven him hard last week, and especially with the Dayton Derby coming up. And he may not get in the Dayton Derby, but they'll have an open the same as they did that other night for 50, and then we have the Breeders' Crown coming later on. Somebody's going to watch this video and say, Anthony, I don't think he's good enough for the Breeders' Crown. Just like he wasn't good enough for the Graduate. Just like he wasn't good enough for the Houghton. Wait, he was 2nd in the Houghton in 48. He is good enough. He's a fringe player and good enough to race with them if he gets a trip. I'm well aware of that. I'm not thinking he's going into the Breeders' Crown at 6-5, 8-5, 3-1. He's going to be 15-1. And this is one of the occasions where, you know what? You're a big boy. You're at the top of the food chain. You're going to have to race against the other alphas in North America. And there's going to be a pecking order for them also. I'm well aware that he's a 15-1 horse going in there, but he is going to race in those 2 races. Now, the Dayton Derby I can't guarantee you because it goes by money, and in fact, he likely won't get in there. But he will be in the Breeders' Crown elimination. Lifting Legend raced good again, finished 2nd in the Prospect. Nice little horse, doing his work well. And Perfect Thought was amazing last night. You know, I'd said in the opening email I wrote everybody, you know, there was a time where if you had a 2-year-old pacing filly that paced 49-3 or 49-4, you likely had a generational filly. You had a filly that was special. Now you have second best. And, you know, Burke's horses are so hard to beat. That Luadipa was so good last night, and you know, and she drew 3 in the final, and we drew 9. There's nothing we can do about that. But we'll play the hand we're dealt, knowing full well that we get an exceptionally gifted filly. Same as Jailbird Jog today. Drew the rail, didn't want 8 or 9, but really quietly didn't want the rail either. 4, 5, and 6, we don't get the option. So we're going to play the hand we're dealt, and regardless of what happens in Kentucky today with respect to Jailbird Jog, she's an exceptional filly, and all 3 of those horses will show up at the Breeders' Crown this year. You know, all things being equal. If everything stays the same between now and the Breeders' Crown, time is on my side. Jailbird Jog and Perfect Thought will all be present at the Breeders' Crown eliminations and hopefully the Breeders' Crown finals. Now tonight I have Dio Sedella Donza in the Delaware County Fair, race number 19. 19. I'm going to miss my first 2 drives at Northfield and probably get fined, but I looked at the math on here and I'm like, oh, I can make it. And then one of our clients reminded me, you know that Delaware is like the longest post parades on planet Earth. That's even compared to Northfield. 5:30 is probably quarter after 6, 6:30, 6:45. There's 0% chance I can make my first drives at Northfield. So Jailbird Jog, then we got Grand Slam Dio tonight. I have no idea what she'll be like. You know, truthfully speaking, her brother just won the $200,000 invitation at Yonkers. What will likely happen in the near future is we'll test the open market with Grand Slam Dio as a broodmare prospect. She's an incredibly deep family and is worth quite a bit of money, likely worth almost every bit, if not every bit of what we paid for as a yearling as a broodmare prospect. And we're getting close enough to the sales now where we'll likely test the waters. I'm not sure the exact date of the sale coming up, but it will be before the deadline for Harrisburg. That is a certainty. And it will be probably as close to that deadline as we can get. And then Winter Soldier's in tonight. Trained great the other. What a nice horse. Trained him with no hobbles, no head check, no nothing the other day. 2.5 last quarter in 28 seconds. No problem whatsoever. He is a sweetheart of a horse. And then Monday, we'll kick off our week. We'll race Zena Kemp in the Red Mile. Erica's got her blood trending in the right direction. I believe it's acceptable. Dr. Andy Roberts and Eric would not have put her in if they didn't think she would be. Jolene Hall, Judy's Money, Aunt Lily, Freedom Hill will all race in the Delaware County Fairgrounds, and we'll close out our Monday with Greatest Ending and Memento Mori. Tuesday we have Emerald Tom, Supermind, and Uncle Danny. Uncle Danny's 9 to 5. I like that. Supermind is 7 to 2. Emerald Tom is 8 to 1. Not bad. So that is what took place this week. Obviously, the biggest story of the week, aside from an exceptional mile from Perfect Thought, was... Oh, and Dune. She's not on the calendar. Dune was second this week in her last race of the season. That puts her a little over 50 Canadian, I think. Not what we thought we'd run the table and she'd lay over them, but naively not realizing there was other Captain Victoriouses in the state that possibly could be as good as ours. So that's what happened with racing, you know. She raced decent all year long, had a pretty good campaign. She is now done. She's in Delaware this afternoon. She's going to be on the same trailer as Raging Hanover and Diosa Della Danza coming home. Dune's going to the field. Raging Hanover, we're going to tinker with him and likely send him to Ontario right away, if not a week from now. And Diosa Della Danza, hopefully we're coming home with a wind pitcher tonight. So that's what's going on today. That's what went on this week. That's what's going on in the near future. The headlines of the week were the sale. I think all things considered, value-based as we always want it to be, and it was again this week. And thank you for your help, by the way. I know we only got one of your top. Amy's list is, how many are on your list, Amy? 4 for the whole sale. 4.
I don't know.
4. You have 4 horses out of 280 you want me to bid on.
Half the horses were pacers.
You want the horse we bought was on your list was a pacer.
Yeah, I only had...
What?
No, I had 4... No, I had 3 pacers on my list.
So 30% of the pacers you wanted, we bought. Yeah. So we got your pacer. And the trotters, I liked your horses. They just went for too much. You know, you can catalog this. Amy was mad at me because we didn't buy Gypsy Hill's brother. And he was a good-looking horse. But once he got to like 40, 42, that's too much money. It's too much money for that horse. I think all the horses we got, financially speaking, we're safe. There was safety there. When you start paying $40,000, $50,000 for a 2-year-old trotter,
Yeah, but you can't go to that sale anymore and
sure you
get
can.
them for cheap.
Sure you can.
No.
Well, I bought a horse that I had. Now remember, I looked at every horse in the sale, and I marked 6 or 7 horses by him or by her total in the sale. One of the horses I said by him was number 230. I marked him at 30,000. He was a what the hill because I'm gonna say it again. Historically speaking, in the past, the what the hills would have got that, but they just got crushed so much. No one bid on him. He was a by him horse at 30, and I got him for 8. All those Volsteads were all underpriced. That's not true. The first one I marked at 28 went for 33. The AI horse, the horse that I like, What a Mission's sister. What a Mission's sister. She went for 33. Every other horse that we bid on and got that day was drastically reduced because unfortunately we didn't get any in ranges or ready for monies. But I'm sorry, I just don't buy into the thought process that these horses are that much layovers, that those studs are so much better than everybody else's that you have to have one. Maybe I'm wrong. You can call me on this video next year and say, hey, Anthony, remember when you left the sale, you said, oh, in range and ready for money, they're nice, but they're not layover sires. And here we are in the middle of the summer 2026, and they are layover sires. You know what? I'll eat crow. I will. It's a saying. I won't actually eat crow. Might be good. I don't know. Maybe prepared. I have no idea. Anyway, it's been a great week at the stable. I hope you guys have had a great week. I hope we have a lot of luck this afternoon in Delaware. I don't have to rush. I'm an hour and a half away.
Oh my gosh.
I'm an hour and a half away.
We also didn't have to rush to the Meadows the other day, and they were calling.
No, the problem is that I looked at Looks Like Money. Looks Like Money went on the track at 5:30. So I knew if I got there at 5, I'd be fine.
8:30.
Oh, sorry, 8:30 and 8. I knew I'd be fine. Problem is that Tim's horse was in the race before that post paraded at 8:10. So me arriving at 8 o'clock, not so cool. So they'd called, hey, where are you at? I said, oh, it's like 10 minutes away. Well, you know, the horse goes out at 10 after 8. I said, no, he doesn't. I'm looking. It's 8:30. Not Tim's horse. Oh, yeah, Tim's horse. Listen, I apologize. I will be there at 8 o'clock. If you want me to drive the horse, I'll be happy to. I arrived at 8:01 and post paraded at 8:10. Then raced. That wasn't acceptable with you?
I don't know. Just don't say, "Oh, I've got lots of time." And then,
I have lots of
and then
time.
you're going.
I'll know exactly how long it's going to take me to Delaware. I have my Ohio license to get through. I'm not even going to worry about my stickers and everything I need. I'm just going to wave my pass, go through, race the horse, and leave. I'll worry about the stickers and stuff tomorrow.
Stickers.
They give you the sticker in your window for parking, and they give you, they give you your. I have some free passes because we sponsor a race on Monday.
Oh, we're not going to care when you're in the 19th.
No one cares.
About your pass.
No. Anyway, you guys have a great week. If you're in Delaware, I meant to mention this too.
Do they know that there's a fair?
Who? The kids? Yeah, they were asked to go, and I said, we'll talk about it this week. We'll talk about it if we can get you to school for a day. I know Ava can't, but the other two maybe. I don't know. Anyway, if you're in Ohio this week, some of our clients from New York, oddly enough.
Oh, it's not there today?
I don't think it is the first day. I think it's there Monday. Wants to go out to dinner, Chinese food. If you guys are up for some Chinese food, we do have Lonnie and his partners said we're going to go to this restaurant. Or I'm going to go to the restaurant. I don't know if you're coming. I don't know what day it is now. But it should be a lot of fun. Anytime we can get together as a group, it's great. That's the one difference between this stable and other stables is the community we built, and we should take advantage of it whenever we can. So, from me to you, a dinner invitation, not really from me to you, from Lonnie to me to you, a dinner invitation this week in Delaware, eating Chinese, if that's your thing. And for me, I hope you guys had a wonderful week. I hope you had a lot of fun following along with the sale. I hope I did a good job. I guess we won't find out until next year. But I hope you have a great night at the track. Take care, everybody.